Hello there, people of the internet. How is everybody doing today? I'm doing alright, thanks for asking. Is my camera up high enough? Stay right there. This right here is something that I carry on not necessarily a regular basis, but every now and then I'll catch myself carrying this thing for self-defensive purposes. This right here is a Taurus Spectrum chambered in 380. I imagine that we are going to have a tremendous amount of people go into the comments and yell at me for carrying this thing. And they're going to tell me either it doesn't have enough ammunition, or 380 ACP ammunition is not powerful enough, or this thing is going to malfunction like the Dickens and not be accurate. Well, this particular one, I don't think I've had a single malfunction on this channel. I've made regular shots out to about 40 yards with this exact one right here. So the reliability and accuracy is not in question, and 380 ACP, I think 380 ACP sends, if you get heavier weight projectiles, a 100 grain projectile at approximately 1150 or so feet per second, and that equates to just under 300 or so foot-pounds of energy transferred onto the target, which is almost double that of 22 long rifle. Then people tell me all the time about how deadly 22 long rifle actually is, so 380 ACP is definitely powerful enough to put someone in the ground. As a matter of fact, that is approximately, maybe a little bit more, well, maybe a little bit less. That is approximately the amount of energy that you would get from an 1860 Colt revolver, and that tends to put people into the ground very, very well. But we're not talking about the capabilities of 380 ACP. As a matter of fact, that is for an upcoming video. So if you want to see me show off 380 and just how much you don't want to get hit by it, then subscribe to the channel, because I do, in fact, have that video upcoming. All this being said, that would require me getting out to a range. So if you want to help me get out to a range, then, well, I got links to Patreon and Utreon down below, or you could go buy yourself a shirt. I'm selling a couple of shirts to help the cause, or you could do a one-time donation through the shirt store. The Taurus Spectrum that I have here, this is a very, 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 very tiny little handgun, and that is one of the main reasons why I use it. I've made videos talking about this in the past, about how the size of the handgun and the comfort of carrying said handgun matters a lot more than the actual capability of said handgun. Assuming that the handgun is actually functional and you are adequate enough with it. And I would say this right here is absolutely functional. And I'm adequate enough with this thing being able to shoot regularly at 40 yards. Nobody will ever know what happened with that. Okay, what the hell am I aiming at? I'm just gonna send a round into the crap on the hood of the car. Send another. Well, I sent 2 rounds. I should have 5 left. Let's do, I don't know. I see some crap on the stove. Okay, so far, 4 rounds in, I have no malfunctions so far, other than the magazine having dropped free that one time. I'm gonna shoot the dirt. I wanna see what kind of impact we get from a 380 in the dirt. I've shot the dirt with many, many calibers before, but I don't think I've ever hit it with a 380 and observed the hole. Well, it was underwhelming. I imagine, all right, I got 2 rounds left. I imagine that this is likely how my ex feels. It's a little tiny hole in the ground. Normally, I mean, hell, I hit it with some Full Metal Jacket 9mm the other day, and it put quite a deal more sizable holes in the ground than this stuff did. So yeah, 380 is not quite as potent of a round as 9mm, but my God, my statement stands. 9mm has come a tremendously long way. Let's go ahead and send, oh, I don't know. I'm going to aim, you guys probably can't see it, but I have a paper target over here on the stove that I have hidden in the bushes. Okay, I am positive that I hit that. But the size of the handgun is one of the main reasons why I decide to go ahead and carry this thing around, because it is dramatically more convenient to just grab this right here and toss it into a pocket or a holster and then the pocket, and use that if I'm like wearing sweatpants or shorts, or if I'm just going to the gas station for some beer, or if I am I mean, insert your choice of things here where I'm not doing very much and I don't feel like actually getting dressed and actually strapping a legitimate fighting handgun to my belt. This right here serves as a really, really good, practical little carry pistol. It's a good means of self-defense that I can use competently and accurately, especially way beyond self-defense distances. And one of the things that makes it so freaking compact is the fact that it takes single-stack magazines. The biggest benefit with a single-stack magazine is that it's skinny. That's basically the main benefit for a single-stack magazine. It is skinny, and as a result, you can have very skinny, very compact handguns. A lot of people, whenever I show them this Taurus Spectrum, and I say, I got 6 rounds of 380 ACP, they're like, oh, why don't you just have, a revolver at that point so you have better reliability in your handgun? And to that point, I say, yeah, that's a really, really good point, but guess what? This is dramatically skinnier. This prints like basically zero, even if I just have it in my straight pocket without a holster. This right here is a really, really, really compact little option, and that really does come from this right here being an incredibly skinny single stack firearm. I'm not sure what the actual measurements on this thing is. Do I have a measuring tape or a ruler anywhere around here? No, I do not. Rough estimations, I would say maybe less than an inch. Like, this is a very skinny, compact little handgun. Now, the downside of a single stack magazine is that you're not going to have as much ammunition, and that's just one of the trade-offs, but that's alright. Most defensive encounters end up getting solved very quickly, well within the 6-shot capacity of this particular magazine, and if necessary, I oftentimes carry more than one magazine, so I can always do a reload. I still have that compact nature of those single stack magazines, and I can have more ammunition available to me. All that is required is a reload. Now, just because something is a single stack firearm, it has a single stack magazine on it, does not necessarily that it is going to be a compact handgun. Like, for example, this right here is a 1911. Oh boy, this is probably one of my favorite handguns. Rock Island Armory 1911 jammed in 45 ACP. This also has a single stack magazine in 45 ACP. Of course, 45 ACP is significantly fatter than 380 ACP, and that's just one of the natures of the beast. However, that being said, the ratio in terms of the thickness between 45 ACP and 380 ACP does not constitute a equivalent ratio between the size of the 1911 and the Taurus Spectrum. The Taurus Spectrum is pretty much as small as it can possibly be for a polymer frame handgun, chambered in 380 ACP. If we're talking width-wise, this is pretty much as small as it can be. But the 1911 can be significantly skinnier, chambered in a single-stack 45 ACP. In fact, there's single-stack 45 ACP handguns out there that are designed to be dramatically more compact than the 1911. On something like the 1911, we have these very thick wood grips, and the steel that the 1911 is made out of, just because of the time period where this handgun came out at, the steel is very, very thick. Now, there are versions of the 1911 that are significantly skinnier, and of course you can customize your grips. You can do a lot with the 1911 platform, but from a generic standard model 1911, this right here is significantly thicker than it has to be, even though it is, in fact, a single stack magazine. So just because it's a single stack mag does not mean that it's going to be more compact. However, as a general rule of thumb, if you're getting a self-defense handgun in modern day, and it's a modern day made and designed self-defense handgun, and it's single stack, odds are it is single stack for a reason, and that single stack reason is to have the firearm be as absolutely skinny as possible. Now, I know that the width of a handgun going from like less than an inch to maybe an inch and a half for a double stack, or maybe a little bit less than that, I know it might not seem like that much of a difference, but I have been in situations and I have had jobs that do not want you to conceal carry a firearm, and so I cannot be printing at all. So having something like this right here, nice and skinny, very easily concealable, that doesn't print, this is a really, really, really good option for me to have a means to be able to defend myself without actually putting myself in jeopardy of somebody discovering, hey, that guy's printing, he must have a CCW on him. Guess what? You're in trouble now. And that is the exact opposite of what it is that we want. Way more often than not, you're going to end up carrying your handgun dramatically more than you're going to be actually using it, unless you run a gun channel like I do, in which case I use handguns very, very frequently, and I make videos on them and put them on YouTube. But for the the dramatically large amount of you guys out there, you're going to be carrying around your handgun way more than you're going to be actually using it. And so as a direct result of that, well, you want a handgun that is actually comfortable to carry. Now, of course, you want something that you can actually and legitimately, viably fight with if you have to defend your life. I'm not telling you to carry around a single-shot 22 that only has a blank in it. You definitely want something that is capable and that is reliable, something that you can literally bet your life on, but it has to be comfortable enough to be able to carry. As a matter of fact, for the longest time, I don't think I have it in here, I did earlier, for the longest time I have a Star Model BM. It's like a miniature 1911 look-alike, not necessarily a clone, but it's definitely based off the 1911. But it's got a single stack 9mm, but it's a really heavy steel frame handgun, and it does not do well for concealed carry, especially since it's got a hammer that juts out the back just like the 1911. You can stab into my lower intestine, and it was just not that good of an option for concealed carry. And I can't really remember my point here, but there was a handgun that I was using for a very long time, and it was thicker and heavier than it needed to be. And so as a result, I didn't carry that thing nearly as much as I should have, or nearly as much as I wanted to. But then I get myself something like this right here, and this is so dramatically easy to carry. It's way, less effective in an actual defensive or combat situation, but it is so much easier to carry. And that dramatic ease of carry is definitely something that I pay a lot of attention to, because that means I will have a defensive firearm way more often than not. It doesn't matter if you think 45 is more deadly than 9mm. The 9mm that you have on person is going to be deadlier than your 45 that you left at home. So this right here is a really good way for me to have a actually pretty gosh darn good capable handgun for me to use on a daily basis. Well, not necessarily a daily basis. Actually, with how things have been going, I'm basically just using it on a daily basis because I don't really get dressed anymore. But I'm definitely way more likely to grab this over grabbing nothing, and I'm way more likely to decide to grab nothing over grabbing my actual belt and holster and handgun and getting dressed and strapped up and ready to go do business. Yeah, that's a lot of work and a lot of effort, especially if all I'm doing is going 10 minutes up the road to the gas station, which is why something like this right here really comes in handy. So, hopefully you guys learned something about single stack magazines. I catch so much flack about single stack mags and what it is I do. Unless I'm talking about a 1911 and 45 ACP, if I show off anything on this channel that has a single stack magazine, I get yelled at. And this right here is a really good example of me constantly getting yelled at for not only a single stack magazine, but for a handgun that people are saying is going to be completely unreliable and inaccurate, and I have absolutely proved that point wrong. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.